What's happening, financial coaches? It's Pete here. Actually, I did a video a while back where I said stop using the term paycheck to paycheck, and I talked about the reasons why. But this has come up again. Actually, I saw some people debating whether or not you should try to come up with something different than using paycheck to paycheck. And obviously, you know that I have found that there are people who struggle with that term because it's not just like what is a paycheck? I never got a paycheck, like direct deposit to direct deposit is a little bit more accurate for the current generation, but what does that even mean? Does that mean the whole paycheck is taken up by my expenses, or I just have a little bit left, or I'm borrowing into the next paycheck, or whatever it is, right? So there are a number of reasons why paycheck to paycheck, I think, can be confusing. I think most people understand it, but most people in the industry understand what that means. But many people out of the industry don't necessarily use that term. Now, I want to weigh in on some debate here whether or not you want to come up with something else to explain the concept that you're trying to talk about. Because, like I said, I don't know if you're using this to mean I'm not making ends meet, or I have to wait on spending, or money is spent before I get it, or I'm in debt, or whatever it is. So that's one issue. The other issue is I just sat down with a bunch of interns who are finishing up their interns in financial services for the summer. And the thing about them is that they ranged anywhere from ages 19 to 21. And I asked them about this specifically. And it's a phrase I use. I'm not saying on an absolute basis, you should never use this phrase, but I mentioned it and they all found it funny and confusing. And for all the reasons that we talked about. But the big one is because they've never received a paycheck. So the internship was the first time that they got paid. It came as a direct deposit. They've actually never seen a paycheck. And what that ended up doing was leading us down a rabbit hole of a lot of financial concepts that don't mean anything to anyone before they've earned money. And so we just talked about budgeting, and they were talking about they have no interest in budgeting. And I know a lot of people and companies and organizations and programs are trying to figure out how do we talk to college students about budgeting? They don't have any income. All their expenses are being paid for by their parents or paid for by loans and those things. So there is nothing to budget on their behalf. And they were talking about that they get solicited all the time for download this budgeting app, download this spending app. And it doesn't mean anything to them because there's nothing they can do to slow down their spending. And there's nothing that they can do to be more responsible with their income because they don't have any per se. So there were a number of things that came up that just don't make a lot of sense. And I feel like for us, for people who have been in the financial services industry for 15, 20, 25, 30 years, there are things that we just say them because we've said them a million times. We're in an echo chamber with other financial professionals who use the same terms. And we're not necessarily getting the feedback directly from the people that we're crafting some of these programs for. And so I thought this was a really interesting opportunity to sit down with these young people. And I learned a lot, and it's helped me craft a lot of my messaging and wording moving forward this year as well. So for the people that say, hey, no, just use paycheck to paycheck, everyone understands it, it's fine. I'm telling you firsthand, speaking with people, they don't get it. They don't understand what you're talking about. They don't even understand if that's a negative term or a positive term or a rule or some financial tip or guideline. So just use normal conversational language. That's probably the biggest tip I can give you because a lot of these phrases that we've become accustomed to just don't mean a lot to the people who are adulting for the first time. So hopefully that helps. I'll see you later.